Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Outlast 2023 mid-game assessment. I'm here with three Outlast Season 1 legends. We have Lizzy, Sandra, and Jermin, and then hopefully fairly soon we'll be joined by another legend, Carlos, who's running a little late tonight, but that's all right, Carlos. No worries. But we are here to chat about the game thus far, to chat about the remaining 11 players. And hear from these folks who've done it. They've been in the woods. They've been in those exact woods, in fact, to hear who they think is playing the best game, the worst game, and who they think will be the ultimate champion. We are going to do our best, team. I don't know if you know anything, but if you do know anything, let's try to make sure we don't have spoilers. No spoilers tonight. And for those of you who are following us, thank you so much for your support. We have 9 episodes out of season 2 so far. I think we've got 3 or 4 left to go before we crown our champion. So if you haven't been watching Outlast season 2, make sure you hop on the YouTube channel. We'll give you the link at the end here so you can go and watch it. But with that, I'm going to start with my opening question for the panel. We'll start with you, Lizzy. I'd love to hear from you on what so far of the first 9 episodes would you say is your favorite kind of moment or move of the season? Like, what's the one thing when you look back kind of stands out the most to you?
Okay, I didn't want to go first because I have 3 possibilities, and I was going to say whichever one people did say. So can you come back to me?
All right. We'll come back to you. Already breaking the rules. All right, Sandra, what are you?
Okay, I got one. So the moment is always that I laugh about constantly is Rachel eating the clue. When she finds the clue and she eats it. Oh my God, I would never think of that. And then but then she drops half of the clue, which was like, oh. But I'll tell you, she's got such a great face on her. Like no one suspected anything. And I thought that was really stand out how she's and how she's like she created like that new alliance in the last episode. So I think she had both stand out. Stand out. What's your question? Standout moments. I couldn't think of the word. The standout moments was definitely Rachel eating the clue. That was my favorite moment.
It comes back. She gets another clue and eats that one too. So it's a trend for her.
She's not going to go hungry.
Who needs food, right?
And I'm not sure if folks watched. It was the quality was a little rough, so we're on a different platform tonight because the quality was a little rough. But we did do a roundtable with our pre-mergers. And we do talk about that moment, how Tim was on and he was saying how he was there when she found it or when they found it, the group found it, and that she played it off very well. He had no idea that it was part of her clue, and it's a standout moment for sure. Jermin, how about for you?
For me, so when I first thought of this, I was like, okay, after watching last episode, I was like, Hannah turning on the blue tribe was the standout moment. But then I really thought about it and I'm like, no, it's Rachel turning on the blue tribe, because I'm proud of Hannah, but I think Rachel has more of a position in the game, and I feel like she controlled that more, because I feel like Hannah, like, it was her time to turn, but she was like, I'm going to turn wherever you want to go. Whereas Rachel picked who she wanted to come with her next round. Like she wasn't close to Meg. So she knew like, okay, I'm going to turn on blue and I'm going to still have yellow. So I'm going to take out Meg. And I think that was a standout moment for me.
Absolutely.
All right, Lizzy, moment of truth. Now you got to pick one.
Okay, thank you. One of mine was said. So
okay, all right.
I think like mine was more so a standout moment, not so much a move. I really liked Kira, and I think her vote off, like when she's talking about how women are often seen as like being these being targets and being in cahoots, like, oh my God, not a woman's alliance, and like very well the women could be targeting each other, like you know what I mean. So I think that that really stood out to me. I was like, yes, girl, like speak your truth, yes. But Also, I love. Sorry, I'm gonna say it. I love Sarah and Bartley finally winning immunity. That was a really beautiful.
That was great.
Yes, that's one of my favorites for sure. It's funny because in the pre-planning for the season, I think it was Travis who just thinks of everything. Was like, what if we get down to 2 people and what's going to happen? And I was like, well, let's just talk about it. So we decided, all right, it's going to be fire making and no advantages, no idols. Just if you lose, you go straight to tribal. And I think it could have been kind of cool if we had that happen, but I think it was cooler that like they finally pull out a win, and I think they were both just so proud of that moment, and it was fun. It was really kind of a fun moment.
Yeah, that was a big moment.
Beautiful.
All right, so kind of riding on the back of that, what do you think is like the biggest mistake or misstep so far? Who's had maybe the clunkiest move? Jermin, we'll start with you this time.
Okay, I have 2. I'll go with one, let you know which one I didn't pick. But the one I'm going to pick is Jeff's idol play. We've all played this game. We kind of know like who is talking to who's with who. And I just feel like he had a bad read in the game and he got really paranoid for no reason. He knows he's going to be the biggest target going into the merge. You need that idol. So for him to play that, to me, it was just like, he didn't really think ahead. He was just thinking in the now, and it's like, you need that going forward. And I think him playing that, he needed it going forward. And then also now his allies don't trust him because he just played it for no reason. So I think that was a big blunder.
Yeah, it's a tough thing, right? Because you don't want to be bamboozled and walk out with it in your pocket, right? So like it is that hard line to find, but I think you're right. I think it maybe did more damage. And, it's interesting, like Meg talks about it a little bit in the episode about like, had I known Jeff was that paranoid, I would have calmed him down and talked to him, but like they didn't realize it. Right. So, that was an interesting situation. And I think part of it, kind of talking to Jeff, it seems like maybe he wanted to kind of burn it to get that target off of his back. Like he was kind of glad it was gone, but we'll see how much he needs it moving forward. He's called himself a threat and a target, so we'll see how that impacts the game. Sandra,
can I comment on that real quick? I'm sorry. Well, also, like, I think that my thing is, if you are going home where you have a 4-1 majority, you're already screwed anyways. So my thing is, he should have at least risked it because he should have saved it because like. You're going like there's no way you can regain footing basically anyway. So save it for a rainier day. So I totally agree. Sorry.
Yeah. Sandra, how about for you? What's the biggest misstep you think so far?
Well, mine, I think that was one of them was the misplay of the idol. But also I feel like Val, her changing her vote from Trey to Jacob, I think really screwed her. I think she could have went far. Like we all know how great Val plays games. She's really good at games and stuff. And, it just, I think, put the big target on her back because she's the one that moved to get Trey out. And then she changed her vote to Jacob. And I think that just kind of screwed her with the girls.
Yeah. And she talks about that a little bit in the roundtable, right? And it was a big topic of discussion. It's one of those things where it's like, do you do what you think you need to do to save yourself, right? Like if you go out by 1 vote because you didn't flip your vote, like, will you ever forgive yourself? But you're breaking a lot of trust, right? And so, it's hard. Those decisions are really hard, and we've seen it in the last, I think it was funny. I think I was texting Val during the last season of the real game. We won't say the name. Copyright.
Don't spoil it. I haven't watched. Thank you.
But there was a moment where someone did toss another vote out there just in case their name was the one, and Val and I were texting and she's like, see that's why you do it. All right, before we go any further though, I have to bring in the man, the myth, the legend.
I hate it.
Hello everybody.
Hey.
Carlos, we haven't gotten too far. We're just talking about the biggest missteps or mistakes. So you only missed one thing, and we can loop back and get yours. All right. So we've got Jeff's misplayed idol. We've got Val flipping her vote. Lizzy, what about you? What do you think has been the biggest mistake or blunder so far?
I'm going to say Matthew Shed throwing out Hannah's name. I think at that point, sometimes it's better to save face. And I understand that he's trying to like kind of forge bonds with the other people. But my thing is you gotta test the vibes first. And I mean the vibes were all everybody's upset and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, it's gonna be Jacob. So like everybody seemed to be locked in. So I feel like throwing it out really hurts his game. I'm hoping he can rebound. But yeah. That's hard.
Yeah, another tricky one, right? Because, you know, there is a play there where you say, hey, Jeff, when you know you're going to be a target, I'm probably going to be a target near the merge. Do we want to have another shield kind of around? But I think to your point, right, you got to read the room and figure out, like, is this the right time to say it? Is this the right, is this the right way to do it? For sure. Obviously, we see that has blown up a lot of things in that last episode. Carlos, are you ready? Are you mentally ready to give your opinions?
No, I'm opening the Facebook now. Come back to me.
Well, I want to add to what Lizzy said. Like that was like I was between that and the Matt. So Matt, like if you're gonna pitch someone's name and turn on your allies, you got to make sure that everyone is down to do that. You got to read the room, like you said. So either you're gonna go full force and make sure it happens, because if you don't, the person's still in the game. Now they know you're coming after them. Right. Now the allies that you wanted to work with are not with you 100%. You pretty much screwed your whole game. So I think that was a really bad thing for him to do.
Yeah. I think it was probably not the right move, but I also, I've joked with Jacob a little bit too, being like, Jacob, you needed to like leverage that crack 1,000%, right? Like how he didn't kind of use that to find a way in and help himself stay. I was like, come on, like you got to see that there's some of that happening. Play people up against each other, like, spill the beans, spill the tea, let everyone know what's going on. For sure, yeah. Carlos, are you ready now? Do you know where we're at? Do you know what we're talking about?
The biggest mistake, blunder?
Yeah. Do you have a biggest mistake or blunder that you've seen in the game so far?
Yes. But sorry, I'm playing a game where currently some stuff are happening. But so I'm so far behind, guys. But I'm very, and this is probably something that somebody should have said before, but I'm very disappointed at some of the award choices early on. But I'm also very disappointed at like the way that it was, like, not that disappointed, but like I hated the way that it was set up, because like it would have been so obvious to track who picked what. Like some wiggle room for some privacy would have been nice.
All right, I'll give that.
Maybe that's how they wanted it to be part of the game, so for you to be like, don't risk your roll or whatever, because they're gonna find out that you did it.
Well, some of us can like hold, don't have self-control.
Fair enough. All right, so I'm gonna actually hold off on our last two questions until we get through everybody. So now we'll just go kind of cast member by cast member. Give me your thoughts on their game, where they're at right now. If you have moves you want to suggest to them, even though this already happened last summer, you can tell them what you think they got to do to get to the end. So first up, and again, we're doing this in alphabetical order, so there's no spoilers here. It's just alphabetical. But up first, we've got Andy. Originally was on the POTA tribe. He is one of 4 POTA members left, and currently sitting with the legacy advantage, as he just played an idol. He did have 2 things in his pockets, but he did play that idol, and now sits with the legacy advantage going into this final 11 vote in the next round, which means that he's eligible to play it potentially. So who wants to start off with Andy?
I have a question. I just watched the episode again too, just to try and remember, but his name wasn't being thrown out there, was it? I don't remember that his name was being thrown out at all.
It was like a little bit. There was a big debate between him and Maya, like which one is the right way to go. And I think Matt was saying like, hey, he's got a bunch of stuff in his pockets. Do we try to flush some of that stuff now, or like get rid of him now? Well,
Right. And you never want to be voted out before the merge.
Yeah. So I think I think there was an Andy debate between him and Maya of who was the better plan on blue. The original Nebbies decided Maya was the safer vote because there was likely that she didn't have anything like Andy did.
Oh, that's right. Now I remember. You're right. Okay, I remember that conversation.
Yeah, so his name being out there, I mean, I don't knock him for playing the idol.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I knock him for playing it.
Tell us why.
The idol plays this season, horrible. I'm so sorry. Every last one of the idol plays have been so bad. It's like, are y'all playing the game? Like, do y'all see what's going on? Andy, on my list, because I ranked everyone 1 through 11, he's number 7 for me. I see him going far, but I see him in the middle of the pack because losing that idol, I feel like he's playing a very passive game. And I feel like he's playing this way because his back was up against the wall from the beginning. Like, his name was out there round 1. So everyone was targeting him, right? So now you have to play the game of as long as it's not me. So I feel like he's playing the as long as it's not me game, but I need for him to step it up. Because if you play as long as it's not me, eventually it's going to be you. So I just feel like he's kind of very passive. He needs to kind of like take a hold of the game and just like put his foot down because people are just going to use him otherwise.
But that's not a totally bad position to be in, though, either. Like, if they need his vote, if there's for the numbers, And the thing with Andy is he knows how to play these games. Like, he's been around them for so long. I played a game with Andy last year. We weren't on the same tribe or anything, but he's really smart when it comes to these games, and I think he knows what he's doing. And it's great that he has the legacy now. He can play it. I think it's 10, 8, and 6 now. Justin, is that right?
You picked odds, so
Odds.
He picked odds. Okay,
yeah.
So
9 and 7. Yeah.
All right. So he has that. And yeah, I think he can. If he plays it right, he can be an extra number.
Yeah, I don't even think he's an extra number. I think that he gained a lot of like agency and power with that new tribe, actually. So I'd push back on that. And the thing is, he burned the idol, but his people that he was solidifying that bond with know about his legacy, but the other people don't. I also think it was incredibly intelligent and smart for him to choose the odd numbers. That's something that I really liked because odd numbers, again, that's when flips happen. That's when weird shit happens at odd numbers. So I think that was really smart of him. I think that he's really recovered. And although I agree, I don't see him winning. I see him getting a lot further than I did at the beginning. I
was worried in the beginning.
Yeah.
I was definitely worried about him in the beginning, but now I feel like he's in a good position. But
and I would have played if I would have played the idol, because God forbid you don't play the idol when his name was out there for a bit. It was. Yeah. So God forbid you don't play the idol and you go home. Like, how pissed off would you be, right? Mm-hmm. So he's the only idol play that I can kind of allow for maybe a little more grace than the other ones, but you
go in a merge, and usually there's another idol hidden somewhere at the merge camp.
Yeah,
so you can always find that.
And he's got that legacy advantage, so he's okay.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think one of you said I think he gained a lot more agency being on Wet 2, being with that green group, being in the majority, forging those relationships, and we're starting to see the formation of him trying to really solidify a final 3 with Rachel and Chelsea, and that those relationships really blooming. So I think he's trying, he's
Stephanie,
trying,
right? Doesn't he have something with Stephanie now too?
Yeah. Well, he's got the bond with the POTA 4 that's still in the game, but he seems to be, based on that last episode, zeroing in on Chelsea and Rachel as the ones he really wants to go further with, right? Mm-hmm. So that'll be an interesting dynamic if that comes into play of how original POTA versus that 3, kind of how those shake out. Any other thoughts on Andy? Nope. Great. Move on. Up next, we have Bartley. Bartley originally on the Nebby tribe, swapped to the very cursed POTA tribe. And as we've talked about, came down to just 2 members left in that group, and is now part of the merge. Who wants to start with Bartley?
I guess I'll start. Bartley for me, he's number 8. Not because I want him to be down there out of 11, but because he has an uphill battle. Like, I feel like in the beginning of this game, I thought he had a lot of agency. He had control. Like, he was like the leader of the tribe. Everyone was wanting to work with him. But now everyone sees him as a threat. And I think everyone on the other tribes are going to be targeting him, on the blue tribe and on the green tribe. And what does he have? Like the reveal a vote or something?
He's got the tribal council pass, so it allows him to basically remove 2 people from tribal council. So it could be himself and someone else. It could be 2 other people to kind of get rid of their votes, so he has more control over the vote at that tribal council. So
well,
really
I forgot about that. That's huge.
Well, now that I know that he can remove himself, I think that gives him a little bit of a higher push. I am worried for him.
Made it to 7, Bartley.
If he uses it correctly, he could probably go far because he's very sociable, and I feel like a lot of people are drawn to him. So if he plays that right and uses his social strategy, I see him going far.
Yeah, I agree. He's really likable. And I think his social game's got to play a big part of that. And now that you've reminded me about his advantage, I think that's huge, and that'll get him far. But I think in the end, because I don't really know who is he aligned with, like, other than,
I don't know if he knows.
yeah, like, so I think that's gonna hurt him. Like, yeah. I don't have any notes. I have no notes about his alliance. So that may hurt him, that he doesn't have any solid alliances.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? He touches on this lightly in the episode, but I think I'm not spoiling anything, but like, you'll see moving forward, right? Like, Sarah and Bartley they're kind of this little duo, right? That now I think need to find their place amongst this larger group, because they've been separated from all the other Nebbies. They don't know any of the POTAs, right? The original 4 POTAs that are still in the game. So I think it's interesting. One of my questions for the group was going to be, if you're an alliance, right? If you've got an alliance of 4, so are these 2 people you try to scoop up, or do you think and kind of add to your numbers, or do you think these are kind of easy targets for you?
It depends on if your name's out there. If your name's out there, they're easy targets. But I do think that they're scoopable. But who wants to sit next to them at the end? That's such a compelling narrative. Hell no, I wouldn't.
Well, that's like you bring them in as the 6, and then like once it gets, if you have them to the end, then you just pop them out at 6 and 5.
Yeah.
Same as Sandra. I would bring them in for a time being, and when I'm done with you,
yeah, see you later.
And not feel bad about it at all, right, Jermin?
No.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I think Jeff mentions it briefly in the episode. Like, there's all these pairs, right? You've got Bartley and Sarah. You've got now him and Hannah kind of feel isolated. He's assuming that Rachel and Peter are a pair on Wetu, and right. So there's all these different pairs. I think probably Sarah and Bartley, just for what they've gone through, right? There's probably some sense of loyalty there. But if you remember, like way back, there was some questions around Sarah and if she was being honest about her journeys. And I think, I don't know how close that bond is between the 2 of them, and if they'll split and kind of try to find their own games, or if they're kind of now melded together.
Well, even so, Amelia says, I know that like they say, like, I think it was Tim or Amelia, one of the 2, sorry, was even like, I know you didn't want Sarah to get to merge, and like mentions that to Bartley. So I was
Yeah, there was some light. I don't think it was ever really hit hard in the episodes, but there was definitely some distrust from all the Nebbies with Sarah from that first journey, and none of them for some reason believed her that she didn't get any.
I know, she was and then she got blamed for the Rachel's half a vote that she
the note dropping. So it's hard in these games. People are always going to assume whatever you do, you've got something, right? Even if you get nothing. So I think Bartley mentions a little bit like there was just not a connection, and I think they bonded through this time at POTA, right? So I think he got to know her in a different way, and ultimately he makes the decision of if it's going to be her or Amelia that move forward with him, and he chooses her. So there's something there, right? There's something that he decided he wanted to.
Are we gonna find out why he chose her? I just feel like we didn't really know why he chose her.
Maybe you will. Maybe you won't.
Okay. We'll see.
All right. Any other thoughts or notes on Bartley? Great. Up next, we have Chelsea, original POTA member, then moved over to Wetu. And yeah, I think that she doesn't know no major advantages right now, to my knowledge. Who wants to kick us off with Chelsea? Sometimes it's good. Jermin, maybe just start each one because I like to know the ranking. I like to know where they are.
Okay. Well, for me, my ranking for Chelsea is number one. You know what? It's surprising to me too because Chelsea was not at the top of my list pre-merge. I think she was kind of quiet and I didn't really see where she was in the tribe. But as the game has been going on, I see her social ability. I see how everyone wants to work with her. Like she holds her cards close to her chest, but she reveals some a little bit enough for everyone to know what's going on, but not too much. And I just feel like she's calm, she's collected, she's never like worried or scatterbrained. Like she just seems so chill. And I just feel like she's gonna do really well in the individual immunities. I see her going far and I see her winning this.
Can I piggyback?
Yeah, go for it.
God, I love Chelsea. She is also, I rank her very, very high too, not to spoil further questions. But I absolutely love her. Chelsea is playing the game that I want to play. And I respect her. I love a good, strong, quiet, social game. And I think that everybody loves her. Everybody's going to her. Everybody wants her in the end. Everybody's checking with her. Ultimately, when people are voting for a winner, they want to vote for someone that they want to represent their season, that they like. You're voting for someone you like, and everyone likes Chelsea. So I think as long as she kind of keeps up with what she's doing and makes bonds with those new people she hasn't met yet, I think she is just killing it.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's going far. She's not my winner pick, but I'm not going to spoil that yet. But she's high up there for sure. Like Lizzy said, everybody wants to work with her, and everybody's going to her. She's playing a quiet game and so likable, and I definitely think she's going to go far.
All right. Anything else? Yeah, I mean, I'll just personally say, like, playing with her, I played with her in Kokopelli when she played last summer, and I mean, she draws you in. There's just something about her that you like her instantly. You want to work with her, you know. And I think
that's
knows,
a good spot.
yeah, she knows also how to, like, in a good way, like, take advantage of that, right? Like, she knows the cards she has to play, and she knows she can do that. So I think you know, she's a sharp player. That's why I was really excited she was with us for the second season.
I think also her pointing out, like, so she's like, yeah, all these people are coming to me, but Peter's also not giving me eye contact. I think that's a really good thing that she notes too. So she's very aware of how people are looking at her, talking to her, viewing her too. So she's constantly thinking about that. So.
Yeah.
She's cool.
She is pretty cool. It's true. All right. Up next, we have Hannah. Hannah is original Nebby, so original blue. And she did have the mutiny power, which she never really got to use pre-merge. And one of the things I was going to ask, you know, do we feel like there was any missed opportunities there? I think one idea is, would she have ever tried to hand it off to Rachel or Peter to get them out of the Wetu situation? Would she ever have been like, I like Jacob enough, I'm going to try to, like, get him off this tribe so we don't have to vote him out, right? I don't know if there was ever opportunities for her to use it that we just didn't see. So that's kind of a question. Like, if you had that power and you were Hannah, do you think there was any opportunity to use it that we just didn't capitalize?
So she could have sent anybody to the other tribe just to save them, correct?
So the power is she would have to give it to them. So she would have to give it to Rachel, give it to Peter, give it to Jacob, give it to whoever, and they would have to then make the choice to say, I want to come off this tribe and go to that tribe.
Okay, but then you're stuck on the other tribe, right? You can't it's not temporary.
Correct. Yeah. So it was a permanent move. But she could have had a challenge, like snuck it to Rachel and said, "Hey, like use this, come back to Nebby, like you're safe here, right?" Like,
right.
That was an option. I think I was in my brain thinking, is there any way, because of how close she felt to Jacob, that she could have helped him? But I think it only puts the rest of the remaining Nebby at risk should they lose, right? So probably not a smart thing to do there. But just wondering, it was a power I was really excited about, and I was excited it got into the game, and then we didn't really get to see it used, even though the setup was kind of so imbalanced. It's
a scare. I feel like it's a scary advantage to have, because it could come back to bite you in the ass, I think.
Yeah, I was hoping Carlos would be back by now, because when I played with him in Reelfoot, he had a mutiny and he used it, and it was like a big moment in the season.
Did it work out?
So do they have to use it before the challenge, or how does I don't understand it fully?
Yeah, so it has to be used before the challenge happens. So she could hand it to Rachel a challenge, and Rachel could have used it right away, right? Or use it at the next challenge or whatever, right? Yeah, you have to do it before kind of that cycle starts. So before the challenge, strategy session, and tribal. So you have to wait the next round.
I don't think I ever got the feel that she was close to really anyone that much to really do that and risk her game.
Yeah.
Also, that's something I would probably say for myself if I felt in danger. So I don't think she really needed to use it, or there was ever really an opportunity really to need to use it,
Yeah. And there was some rumors that we don't really put it in the episode because it doesn't ever really happen, but there were some rumors the cast thought there would be another swap or some other big thing happening, where I think maybe they were saving it for that kind of rainy day moment in case there was another big move, another big shift. All right, so what are your thoughts on Hannah? And by the way, I'm just going to use the restroom really quick while you talk. We'll start with Jermin.
Yes. Okay, so Hannah has shot up the list for me. She was low pre-merge, kind of like Chelsea, but after this big move she made in this last episode, she has shot up to number 3 for me.
Number 3.
Yes, because I feel like she was playing very passive. I feel like she was relying on allies, and she wanted to do the whole rock with blue till the end. But now that Matt put her name out and she realized, oh my God, these people are going to turn on me. And she said, it's time for me to pull that trigger, baby. And she said, I'm willing to vote out who I need to. And I think she should have pushed more to take out Matt over Meg. But I'm still proud of her because I didn't know if she had it in her to take out a blue. And she did. So now I know that she has it in her. I see her going far. I see her doing what she needs to do when she needs to do it. And I think people are going to underestimate her. And I'm ready to see more from her. She's a queen. I love her.
She is one of my favorite players this season. I love her. I love her eyelashes. I love her hair. I love everything about her. She's awesome. And yeah, she's high up there for me too. And I love that it's her first game and she's doing so well. I love when the newbies just play so well, and you'd never know it was her first game and that she's never played before. She's doing really good.
Yeah, I think that you can tell a lot about someone by how they react when they're under pressure. And her getting that pressure from the vote, she could have just been like, oh my God, and just been upset and just let it get in her head. But she went into fight mode instead. And I thought that was really cool and admirable. And she's like, listen, I'll do this, I'll do that. I really respected that. I do agree, though. She could have driven it more onto Matt. I think she ends up in her voting confessional saying that, she wants to stick with Rachel, and this is kind of what Rachel wants. So she gives that move to Rachel as well at the end. So at the end, if her and Rachel, because she says she wants to be with Rachel, if they're at the end, that's Rachel's move, right? Because she went with what she wanted. So I think that she could have fought it a little bit more. But I do like that she was like, let's make bonds. Let's do it now, instead of just laying down and dying. I love her, and I love her lashes too.
She's going to be so happy you said that. I think it's interesting. As you noted, right? She's a first-time LRG player. And I think until you hear your name out there, until you see it on a vote, right? Like sometimes it doesn't feel real until like that moment, and then you realize, oh right, this is a game. Especially being on the Nebby tribe where they just won so much, and the 2 votes they had to do were pretty like obvious or easy, right? So yeah, I think that was a big wake up moment for her, and so then you see her kick into player mode. Any other thoughts on Hannah? All right, moving along, we've got Jeff. Sure, there's lots to talk about with Jeff. Jeff is original Nebby. Did have an idol, no longer has that idol. And is self-proclaimed target number 1 right now at the merge as we enter this merge. Jermin, where's he ranked?
For me, he's 11 out of 11. I'm so sorry, Jeff. You are the trade of the season. Good job. But I think the looks are only going to get you so far. I think he's already shot himself in the foot. Like, he misplayed the idol. I think instead of worrying about social bonds and really driving that, because you're going to need people to work with you, he's been trying to show out in the challenges. Okay, that's good for the team portion of the game, but now we're going to individual. You're going to be the most targeted. He could probably survive 11 or 10, but I don't see him making past 9. People are going to want to get him out because of his physical threat level. The only person I really see really fighting for him is Hannah, and she's proven like she's willing to do what she needs to do. So the second she sees that, if she can't save him, I think she's going to be done with him. So I don't see him going far, sadly. But I like Jeff, and I commend his abilities and how he's fought in the beginning half of the game, and I respect his game.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Lizzy.
No, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay.
You're the panelist. I'm just the host. Go.
Jeff is funny. I may have had a couple drinks at the premiere, but I definitely shook his hand after and was like, "It's an honor to meet you. You did so good in the challenge." And now watching his episodes, he definitely ate that shit up. Yeah, I like Jeff. I like watching that. Like, I wasn't sure at first. I was like, I don't really root for someone who's like really good in challenges because like I can't see myself as that person. Maybe that's like, self-conceited, but I'm like, I am not Jeff. I can never play like Jeff, ever. But I do find him like really interesting. I think that he definitely should not have played the idol, but since he did, he could have spun it. And I wonder, like, this is the only way that I see him kind of recovering from that, is if he spins it and says, you know what, people were already whispering about it. I just wanted to get it out of the way so I'm not as big of a target. Instead of, so people don't think that he just mistrusted his allies. It's a really sticky situation. I don't even think that that's going to fully make him recover, but it's, something better. But yeah, I don't think he's gonna go immediately, but maybe in like 2 rounds. He showed his physicality a little bit too much. I think people are gonna be nervous of that. And I just love the shot of him driving in with his Tesla. I was like,
I was going to see if anybody brought up the Tesla moment.
Oh my gosh, that was like my favorite. I think I wrote that down actually. I have that written down. Someone said, anyone that drives a Tesla can't be trusted. That was like my favorite line so far in all 9 episodes.
It was the alternative title for the episode. I should have maybe.
Oh my gosh, I was dying laughing. So that was the best. I agree. I don't think Jeff's going far. I'd vote him out next.
I think it was a big mistake for him to not capitalize on Matt's offer to take out Hannah, even though Hannah is close to him. Yes, but you have to think long term. We talk short term, long term.
Yeah.
But
thank you for leaving that
in the game, right? You would rather have Jacob in the game than Hannah, and I think it was time for him to turn and like do that. I don't know. I just feel like that, and then the idol play. that just tells me his social read on the game is not really good, because I mean, we all get paranoid, right? You don't want to lose with the idol, but it's just kind of like you can kind of tell like where the votes are going, and like for me, I didn't see him being targeted at all that round. So it was like you wasted the idol, and I just think he gets a bigger target now.
Yeah. I don't think him flushing out the idol is going to take a target off his back. I think he's a target no matter what.
Yeah. It's hard. I think for a player like Jeff, who is very physical, and I think doesn't maybe mitigate that as much as he should to kind of help lower his threat level. I think you have to rely on alliances, and those alliances aren't really tested if you don't vote, right? So I think had Nebby gone to some tribal councils and he was able to prove some of that trust and that loyalty, like those bonds maybe could have carried him further. But I think going into this situation where he hasn't had to do that many kind of hard vote outs, those relationships just aren't as tight, right? So I think that could be hard for him, right?
And I don't think it's helping him any that he vocalizes it so much that he's a physical threat. Like I think he says it every episode. I'm a physical threat. I'm a big threat. I'm a physical threat. We all know that the game's not all physical.
Right.
There's puzzles and there's endurance and there's all different aspects. So just because you're big and buff doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win every challenge. So I feel like he could play it down a little bit, like, and be like, I'm a physical, but I suck at if a puzzle comes up, I'm going to suck at it or something, like playing himself down instead of playing himself up all the time. I think that's helping him.
Yeah, that's what I kind of meant by like he's not, I think, thinking of ways to mitigate that by saying like, here's all the stuff I'm really bad at, right? And so like that's once we get to that part, it's not going to be good. Yeah, and I think you're right. Like I remember I got advice from someone playing a game once where it's like, if you're hearing your names out there, the first thing you should do is be like, oh, I haven't heard my name. No one's told me that my name's out there, and like kind of downplay the fact that and kind of fake it that like it's not that thing, right? So if he kind of went into the game being like, oh, I'm not that big of a physical threat, and like kind of downplays it, right, and talks about all the things he's bad at. I think that's what Eric tried to do in season 1, right? He just had popcorn muscles and like he wasn't all that good at things. So maybe that doesn't work because it didn't work well for him. But I think Jeff, could be in a tough spot. I think he's gonna have to figure out if he can rely on some of those Nebby bonds, right? And I think you're right. I think Hannah's probably his closest ally, and what's good about that is she seems connected to some folks, so maybe that can help him ride through a little bit. But we'll see. No spoilers. Anything else on Jeff? Great. Next we have Matthew. I just love this photo so much. Like I can't. It's Matthew is, if nothing else, Matthew is great television. Like he's so good for TV.
The dramatics.
Yeah, right. And he's playing Bloomington right now. He's in those episodes. He's also in Subversion right now, which is a mole game. He had a very similar. He had like a John V summer last year where he was.
Yeah, I know. Every time I came on,
he's in Ascendance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did like so many games last year.
I'm like, oh, that's Daddy Matt, because I think they call him Daddy Matt, and one of them.
Yeah, so he definitely is good TV. Original Nebby, and he did go on a journey, but opted not to take advantage. So nothing in his pockets right now. Thoughts on Matthew? Where's he ranked, Jermin?
For me, he's middle of the pack. He is number 6. He is a trade of the season, also Daddy Matt. I think that the whole Hannah blunder, like if you were gonna do that, you gotta make sure it goes through, or you just don't bring it up at all, or you just like, try to fish for a name. Like, do you think we should turn on a blue? Like, don't put out a name, I think him doing that and failing really hurt his game, because I saw him pre-merge going like top 3, finale. But now I just feel like people aren't going to fully trust him, especially Blue. Yeah. And the others are seeing him as a physical threat and a social threat. And unless he can like really get an idol or something, or really work his social game, I don't see him really getting in where he needs to be. I think he's just always going to be a target, like, and then people are going to finally like realize, okay, we can't let him get to the final three. But I think he has one of the strongest social games pre-merge, and like, you know, everyone wants to work with him. I see him doing well. So yeah.
I see Matt as I think he'll stay longer than Jeff for sure, but I think he's losing a lot of trust in a lot of his allies. So I think also middle of the pack, but I love, like you said, great TV. I love watching him. And he's really likable, but I think, like Jermin said, that the Hannah move, I think, lost a lot of points with him with his alliance and stuff. So I think that's going to screw him over in the end.
So I had that listed right as the worst move pre-merge, right? But I think if anyone's going to recover from it, it's going to be Matt. I think that he's incredibly likable. He's funny. He's sweet. He's passionate. He's just a nice person to talk to in general. I think that he can recover. And I think that it ended up not being him, right? Because of that strong bond that he had with Peter, right? And Peter's got a good in with the other group. So I think Rachel, right? Rachel was honoring Peter's way. They have a thing going on over there with the green. I think that he can ingratiate himself. I think that there's room for him to wiggle himself in. And all he needs is a chance to meet these people, win their hearts. And I think he has a chance. I do think, like, on paper what he did was the worst move pre-merge, but again, I think he can do it. I think he can get out of it. I still see a chance for him winning. I think he's got a winning shot. He's not my winner pick, but he has a shot.
No, I agree too. Like, I could see him winning still, even though I do have him at 6. But like, if he can do what we talked about, and he's very capable of doing that, he can definitely get to the finale.
Yeah, I think we see a little bit like in the way that he apologizes to Meg, and the way that he kind of owns up to what happened, right? Like, and I think, you know, there's some players that would kind of try to lie and get out of it. There's some players that maybe would try to like play it down like it wasn't a big deal, and or push it on to like Jeff and Hannah's paranoia or whatever, right? But he kind of owns up to it, tells everybody how it is, and I think that is the best way to try to, you know, kind of get through it and kind of move on. Is kind of taking that accountability and that ownership of it. So you're right. I don't think it's insurmountable. I think, you know, to all your points, he's got to find the right people to connect with, and that and kind of build back that trust. But you're right. His charm, his personality, the way he connects with people, you know, I think is a good tool in that toolkit to help him on that road of recovery here. All right. Any other thoughts on Matt? I call him Matthew because I was trying to differentiate between the two. Never again will I have two people on the same season with the same name.
You should have them change the name from the get-go, you know. Like.
All right, up next we have Maya. Maya is our youngest player of the season, I'm pretty sure. Oh, I don't remember. But on original POTA, and swapped over to the Wetu tribe, and now is at the merge, and was kind of the other name floating out there, the other name on the votes at the last tribal before getting into merge. So made it through that. Thoughts on Maya? Jermin, where does she rank?
Maya, for me, I wasn't really big on Maya pre-merge, you know. I don't know if we got to see a lot of her. She's very, very much playing that, you know, safe game. You know, she's not the target. She's very good social. I think this round was really good for her in the sense that she survived it. Her name was floating around, but the fact that she did survive it, and now she has that bond with Rachel and Peter. She knows that she has that. She has the Yellow Tribe behind her. I have her going number 5. I can see her kind of, not being a big target, flying under the radar, doing what she needs to do. And I think if she makes the right moves, she can definitely be at the end. I think she doesn't really, ruffle any feathers. I think that she has what it takes and she's smart. I can, she's young, but I can see her doing what she needs to do to get further in the game.
My like one like pushback, like while she is social and she survived, she's no one's priority though. Like she's no one's like number one.
But I also think she's not anyone's target.
I agree, but I think when you're like, I think that if it's like becomes a toss up of this person or this person, I don't think she's the person people choose.
Yeah.
That's
I can see her being
the name.
I can see her being like a fallback plan, like, okay, there might be an idol out there. Like, we need to throw votes on someone else. She's the perfect person to throw votes on,
Yeah, I agree. But I think could end her time shortly. But there's a lot of games, so who knows?
Sandra, when you're not dying, do you have any thoughts?
Sorry, I started to choke.
Oh, good. Breathing.
I feel like I think Maya's gonna go far. I don't know if she'll be top 3, but I think Poda, even though they're down in the numbers, sometimes that works opposite. It works to their advantage, and especially with that tribe pre-merge with I think it was Andy, Stephanie, Peter, that whole group right there. If they stick together, like they said they were gonna, then yeah, I see her going at least till final 6. Because I don't think she's going to be a target for anybody either. They're going to go after the stronger players first, and she's sweet and likable, and I don't see people throwing votes. I feel like she got votes this time because it wasn't like a full tribe. It was only those people trying to make it into the merge. So I kind of feel like that's why votes fell on her.
Yeah, I think similar to what you just said, right? Like everyone was nervous about Andy having something, so she became the other name, right? You all just said like that's if someone has an idol, she's an easy name to throw votes on, right? So I think that case in point, right? That was kind of why her name was out there that round. So yeah. Any other thoughts on Maya? All right, we'll keep it moving. Up next we have Peter. Peter on the original Nebi tribe swapped to Wetu and is now in the merge. I don't think he has any advantages at this point. So that's that. Jermin, where do we rank Peter?
Peter is a toss-up for me, but for some reason, I have him down as number 4. I have him going really far with the fact that he has strong bonds and all these alliances and all these people who trust him. People that want to work with him. I don't see his name coming up, him being a target. I just see him maybe falling short if it's fire making or like, I don't know. I just don't see people targeting him. So that's why I have him going really far. I just feel like other people like Chelsea, Rachel, Hannah will make bigger moves than him, which would cost him the game. So unless he can really make big moves and take control of those moves, I don't see him beating those girls.
Yeah, I agree. I love Peter. I love his like bubbly personality. He's always like happy and he's fun to watch. But I also his name hasn't come up at all, but I don't feel like I haven't really seen him making any huge moves. So I don't know how far he'll go. I don't know. I don't know about Peter.
Well, he hasn't had the chance. He hasn't gone to tribal.
That's right. Okay, Lizzy, thank you. Good. Well, I haven't seen any moves.
I think that there's room for him to grow, but I do think that not going to tribal could hurt him in some ways. But like Jermin said, he's got all these people who like Peter.
Yeah, I can see that. He seems so likable and so just bubbly.
He could go far based off of that.
Yeah.
But also, he is 23. What the hell? That is so weird. I feel like he's older than me. Like, that is so bizarre. But, like, maturity, which, good for him.
He's an old soul, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because we see little glimpses where people mention if Wetu were to go to tribal, Peter probably would be the name, right? Or at least we assume it'd be one of the two original Nebbies, and people seem to lean towards Peter. So I think, maybe not going to tribal kind of has saved him in some capacity. But I think that you all raise a very good question. Like, is going to tribal or is not going to tribal a detriment to your game later when you're trying to defend like the moves you've made and the kind of game you've played? I don't know. I think it's tricky, right? I think you want that safety, but you also it's hard to build a resume without tribals,
Yeah, I forgot. I didn't even dawn on me that they hadn't been to tribal.
Yeah, he's the only one now that has not attended a tribal.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Peter?
I'll just say that I think it's a big thing that his biggest ally is Rachel, and I think she could be a shield for him. And I think even though he hasn't gone to tribal, I think that he's very social, and I think that he, like you said earlier, Lizzy, people want to vote for someone they like, and I think if he is in the end, people like him, they will vote for him.
All right. We've talked about her a lot. Now we can talk about her some more. So we have Rachel on the original Nebby, and then went to Wetu and was voted in to vote as part of this last tribal council here. Does have an idol in her pocket from the original Nebby camp, from the clue she found in the box day one and the clue she ate. It's funny. I'll just do a quick little anecdote. The POTA members on the pre-merge roundtable were so upset at me of how easy Rachel's idol was to find and how they like just desperately couldn't find their idol no matter what they did. They're like, we can't believe Rachel just walked around the tree and grabbed it. So I had to like send them a picture of like where the idol was, which we placed before the game, and it was very obvious.
And then there was one like right taped to the flag, like right there.
So, one of my favorite moments of the game is Bartley like yelling at the POTA flag, like, I never want to be here again. And then the idol's right.
My heart dropped when I saw that. I thought he was lunging to go grab it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, like it's right there. No.
I thought that Matt had noticed it.
That was
when he was sitting, the way the camera had it. Yeah.
Clever editing. Yeah, I tried to make it look like something might have happened. It was so disappointing to put the idol somewhere kind of so obvious and to not have it found. I think it could have really changed the game in so many ways.
My heart broke.
Yeah, it was sad. It was really sad. And that's what's interesting, right? Is like, in the real game that we don't talk about, when you play an idol, it's put back into circulation. So why these people like
you gotta look, especially Matt, pre-merge Matt,
right?
You should have been looking for it. I'm number 5. Like I don't have a chance. I'm looking everywhere for an idol. Okay?
That was also on my list of worst moves.
Oh, but he loves you, Lizzy. How could you break his heart like that?
I know.
Yeah. All right, back to Rachel. So Rachel does have an idol. As we talked about, she's got a lot of these relationships. So what are our thoughts on Rachel? Where is she, Jermin? Where is she on the scale?
She's number 2 for me, but honestly, she's number 1 or 2 for me. Like Rachel is playing such a flawless game so far. I love the way she's playing. She already got the idol. She got people that's on her side. She just seems so chill and cool. Like definitely someone I would want to work with. She seems very level-headed, and I don't know if she's going to be a target. And like, if she does get a target, she has an idol. And I think the last vote proved that she is a pivotal member in the game. And the whole vote pretty much came down to her and what she wanted to do. And I see her dominating. I see her eating it up. I don't know.
That was so good.
Rachel is my winner pick. That's
Sandra, you spoiled it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Jermin said his winner pick already, so I thought we were doing it that way.
I said my ranking, not my winner pick.
If they're ranked number one, I'm sorry. Okay, I rank Rachel number one. That's all.
Perfect.
Yeah, and what's funny is like the first couple episodes, I didn't really even notice Rachel. I'm like, oh yeah, she's not doing much. But then as the episodes went on, I'm like, oh my God, this girl, she's badass. I love her. Yeah, I love how she's making all her moves kind of quietly. Like nobody's onto her. Nobody's really realizing she's playing a really good and really hard game, and no one's even picking up on it. No one's noticing how good of a game she's playing. Yeah, no, I love her. I love the game that she's playing, for sure.
Yeah, I really rank Rachel high. Yeah, I really like Rachel. Honestly, I was concerned at first. Like, I don't know why, but I was just like, is she gonna get along with the girls? Like, I don't know. Like, that was like something that I had like looked and I was like, is she gonna get along with the girlies?
I felt the same way, Lizzy, when I first saw her, because she just was so quiet, and I was just like, is she meshing well? But yeah,
she's just done such a phenomenal job. I think the way that she was walking with Bartley and like her face when like they discovered the clue, amazing. And not only like, yes, she controlled this vote, but she was also voted to be part of this vote too. So she was in I mean, yeah, it was 2 votes, but I mean that's pretty good. So she was
say, it wasn't that many votes, and then it was Rock. So
it was Rock.
But like it means that she has some kind of like sway, right? Within both of those sets. I think she's in a really good spot. The only thing that I could see is people maybe starting to clock it. I don't think they'll clock it for a while, but I think they end game, maybe they'll clock it, maybe not.
No,
you know, I'm hoping not. But just keep what you're doing, Rachel. No notes.
One of my favorite lines, I mean, she has so many good one-liners, like the Tesla's line heard, obviously she's got, you know, all these funny lines. One of my favorites though was towards the end of the episode, right before Tribal, where Maya's like, I'm putting a lot of trust in you. And she goes, yep, a lot of people are. And I told everyone the truth except for the person going home. Like, it's just so ballsy to be like, yep, I got it. And I like, you know, I know who's going home, and that's that, you know, that was one of my favorite lines so far. It was badass. All right. Any other thoughts on Rachel? All right. We have Sarah, so original Nebby as well, swapped over to the Cursed Poda tribe, similar to Bartley, similar story in terms of being in this final 2 group of Poda, and now back with her group of original Nebbies in the merge. Thoughts on Sarah? Where's she at, Jermin?
Sarah is at number 9 for me. I don't know too much about her. For me, I just feel like she has an uphill battle. I just feel like it's such a fight for her to get to the end, being the last 2 yellow or the last 2 of that duo, and
whatever color they were.
I feel like people didn't trust her from the beginning, but she never lied. She has been honest this whole time, and she's been real. And I just feel like she has such an uphill battle that it's too hard. It's too hard for her to get to the end. She's really going to have to network and make other allies. She's really close to Bartley, but you can't rely on just Bartley. You have to spread your wings. And I don't know if she's going to be able to do that. So I do see her going early in the merge. I see her going like as collateral damage maybe. But I'm rooting for her. I love an underdog. And you know, she was supposed to go home early, I think, but she's still here, and I'm rooting for her.
Me? Yeah. I don't know if we're going in the same order. Yeah, I agree with Jermin. I think she's got an uphill battle on because, you know, it's the same thing as Bartley. You know, they came in just as the duo now. The thing that may help her is Andy. You know, she may be able to align with Andy and then get into that group, and maybe she can go further with them. So she may be able to get a little bit further than Bartley. But again, same thing. I think she's going to be collateral damage as well. I agree with Jermin.
Sarah is my friend. she attended my wedding. Very good friends. And first of all, I just want to say I adore her. She's wonderful. But
no spoilers if you know anything. No spoilers. Hashtag no spoilers.
But speaking to her game, like how that translates into gameplay, right? When you're talking to her, she's very perceptive, and she's like kind of like I mean, she's a therapist, okay? Like she is literally trained. Although she told people her other job, which was not a lie. She does work at a dispensary. So she wasn't lying, but like she, I think, has this like ability. She's gone far in games. Like she does well. She's never been pre-merge. She always does well. So I think that there is room for her to recover, but I think she had a rough start, and I think that her being in that position, like who's gonna want to sit next to such an underdog? I think her chances of winning, although I love her, are very, very, very slim. But she might be able to talk her way. Like, you know, you never know. And I agree with Sandra, like that her best in would be right with Andy. They seem to like have some connection and kind of know each other or know of each other. I do not remember. Sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, we do our very best to eliminate, you know, pre-existing relationships, and we focus more on like making sure no one that you've played a game with is in the game with you. What I didn't know is that like the week before, Sarah was helping out with Can You Survive, and Andy was playing, and so she was like doing confessionals with him and stuff, which I had no idea that was going to happen. And so then they end up in a game together, which is disappointing. I don't know that it really impacts the game all that much. But I guess we'll see. But, you know, I don't know that that is, you know, any of the real reasoning behind anything. But that's their minor connection.
Yeah. But I mean, if we're judging, I mean, the reason why she's there, right, is because Bartley believes that she can get him further, right? That was what he was saying in his voting confessional, that I didn't want to do this originally, but I believe this is how I get further. And I think it's due to her ability to make social connections. Out of the two, though, I think that Bartley will go further than Sarah. I don't know. I didn't want spoilers. Okay, I don't know what happens. I don't know, but I think out of the two, Bartley has more potential to go further. But yeah, I mean, I don't see Sarah winning it, but I love you.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, playing real foot with her, you know, I can kind of agree with a lot, most of what you're saying, Lizzy. Like she has this great way of being good enough to make it far. She's not like too big of a threat, but she's never like, for at least when I play with her, like she was never the target. It was very bizarre. Like she finds this great middle ground to kind of lean in on. She talks about it a little bit early on, right? Like and people being invested in her, so they want to keep her around and that kind of stuff. Like she finds this good middle ground, and I think she just kind of pulled a bad draw in getting that first journey, where then people didn't trust her, and then she ends up on this tribe that kept losing, right? So, but the fact that she's made it through all of that, she's got a compelling story if she can get there. Mm-hmm. But kind of, I was one of her allies. I had to turn on her. Sorry, Sarah. And you know, she does. She's got a great way to connect with you and bond with you. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to, because you do invest in her, and then it's hard to break away from her when you have to. So we'll see if she can leverage those skills one more time. see. All right, any more on Sarah? All right, last but not least, we've got Stephanie. Stephanie is from the original Poda, flipped over to Wetu, and is now at the merge. And I'll just say personally, I was really happy for Stephanie. I played Surviving Main with her, and she just didn't make the merge. Like, she was the first one out. Sandra, you know, or the last one out. Sandra, you know how that is.
I know how that is.
You just almost get there, but not quite. And I felt somewhat responsible because we didn't throw a challenge that we probably could have or should have to help her get there. So I was really happy to see her make the merge, and so she'd have kind of a fuller experience this time. Because yeah, that was something that I really wanted for her. So that's my little personal note. Jermin, where does she rank for you?
I love Stephanie on a personal level. I think she's super entertaining, one of my favorite characters. I think she brings a lot to this season, but unfortunately, I have her ranked at number 10.
Ooh.
Oh,
No.
I know, right? Like, I don't know. I just feel like going into this merge, based on her talks with the smaller tribes, she has a big mouth, not in a bad way. She has a very big mouth, and I feel
It's
like
a Boston thing.
she knows this because she has said it. She's like, I'm watching what I say. So she is doing well, but I don't know. In the merge, I just feel like she's gonna be very vibrant, and I just feel like it's gonna bite her. And I feel like her strategy of being out there is gonna come back to get her. And I see her going early. Also, as like a collateral damage type of deal. I don't know. I'm rooting for her too, though. But she's a great character and like one of my favorites. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
No.
She was one of my favorites in Maine. When she played your season, she was definitely one of my favorite players, with the exception of you, Justin, of course.
Of course.
So I was really happy to see her in this season as well. I love Stephanie. I want to know, did she smuggle mascara in? Because in the last episode, she definitely had mascara on her eyes. Girls noticed this shit.
I mean, not that I noticed, not that I knew of.
All of a sudden, her eyes were done. I'm like, how does she have makeup? I don't get it.
Maybe they had a personal item.
Oh, maybe.
I don't think she did. I don't know.
All of a sudden, she had mascara on. But anyway, she's beautiful. Yeah, no, I think she's gonna go a little bit further than what Jermin thinks. I'm curious to see how that 6, if they actually stick together. If they stick together, then that'll carry her through. But yeah, I think she'll be targeted, not at 10, but I hope she goes far. I like Stephanie.
I love her so much. I almost wore a Taylor Swift shirt tonight. I literally had it and I almost did it. And I was like, that's not fair to Sarah. I was like, okay, I'm not going to wear it. Oh God, I'm a Stephanie stan. She's my favorite. I'll just say it. She is my favorite. I just love that she is herself. Like, she is just her, and herself is just such a beautiful person. I love her. I'm gonna push back, Jermin.
Okay.
I think she has potential. Yes, I do think that she is a louder person, but I think people are gonna keep her for a while because they're like, oh, Stephanie can't hold a secret. Like she's fine. Like, she's nothing to worry about. She's not gonna lie to me. Like, why would Stephanie ever lie to me? She's just so great. She's just so wonderful. She's not quiet. She doesn't have her cards to her chest. They're out in the open. Let me keep her around. And I think people are gonna keep her. And then I'm like, I love her. I love Taylor Swift. And she's gonna keep going. She's one of my potential winner picks. I have several, okay? I think that she could do it, and I think she gets the in. Girl is gonna talk her ass off, and she could win it. I am rooting for her. I think I think that there's something so beautiful about how she's playing and how she's herself and how she gets excited and passionate. But then she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, is that being too much?" Like, no, you're never too much. I love you.
Yes.
I want her to know that. That's all. Okay,
Yes.
I'll stop talking about her for now. But wait, I think just keep doing what you're doing, Stephanie. I think you're doing great. And I think that people will underestimate you in a way. Like, I think that, like, which I know it sounds weird because she's obviously very much loud in herself, but I think people sometimes underestimate that and might not think that she can be strategic. So I want to see some strategic sides to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny. Stephanie and I have had some chats since the game, and you know, one of my big things was like I was so proud of her. I mean, believe it or not, this Outlast season 2 version of Stephanie is held back. She is holding back a little bit. I mean, in Maine, she was a firecracker. She let nothing.
I loved her in Maine. It was awesome.
And I think she has learned she's got to find a little bit more control and I think we see it in the earlier episodes more than later, right? Excuse me, but we did talk about how I was really proud to see her, I think, kind of pull back a little bit, because her biggest threat level is that, or her biggest element of her threat level is that big personality, that big kind of in your face. You know, I love, I think one of the earlier episodes where there's the whole kind of advantage discussion between Trey and Jacob, and she's like, I was boiling and I didn't say anything, and like, you know, like that's the ultimate Stephanie. And you know, I was excited to see that she learned a little bit and pulled back a little bit to try to help mitigate some of that threat level piece. Any other thoughts on Stephanie?
Love her.
All right. So as we wrap up here, I want to thank the panel first, obviously. So thank you to Lizzy and Sandra and Jermin and even Carlos, who bopped in for a quick minute, but had to go defend in his org. He's got a tiebreaker challenge, so good luck, Carlos. We hope you survive the tiebreaker. I would encourage everyone, if you haven't, to check out our episodes on YouTube and get all caught up. Like I said, we've got 9 episodes of season 2 out, and the rest are coming. And our finale should be, I think, April 14th is the date that it will be live on YouTube. So still a few weeks left.
Are you having an event for that?
We're going to do something a little different that we won't talk about in the live stream. But so no, not any sort of big public event this time. But Jermin, you're welcome, of course, to come to whatever we're doing privately.
It's my calendar.
Yeah, check us out on YouTube. You can obviously watch these beautiful people in season 1 and see how they fare, and then obviously watch season 2. All right, before we close, I have 2 final questions for you, and I'm going to start with our gone too soon goddesses. We'll start with Lizzy first. Who do you think was the number 1 gone too soon? Who wins the gone too soon award? And who did you want to see more from, and why? Which one?
I have to give it to Matt, and not because of his shirt. I really liked Matt, and honestly, the chokehold that him and Kira had on their original tribe before they got tribe fucked was incredible. They really just got screwed. Can I say that word? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Why not?
Yeah. They got screwed.
And I think I already said it, Lizzy. So
they were in such a good position. I think what really broke my heart more so about Matt was, I think that, well, first of all, he had traveled so far. Second of all, he didn't look for that idol when it went, and that just really upset me. But yeah, I mean, I love them both, but Matt kind of gets like the edge because, well, also Matt was fighting for himself over Kira. And while I understand Kira's, you know, I don't want to pitch against them, you know, I get you, Kira, because I've been there, babe. But sometimes you gotta pitch against them. So Matt, it was my gone too soon.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? Because I think there's so many things that could have changed that dynamic, right? If Matt thought that the idol was real, or like, you know, tried to leverage it in a different way, in a better way. I still don't know if I see Matt or even myself ever being like, I'm going to play this for Kira because that's who I think they're voting for. And then, like, you know, I think we talked about it a little bit on the podcast. He's like, yeah, I probably could have done something different. And if I knew it was real, like ask Kira to vote with me for Bartley and like see what would happen. But they also didn't know that like Sarah didn't have her vote that round, which could have really like, changed things. So there's so many things in that kind of section of the game that could have gone differently. And obviously we love Matt. He's been a big supporter of Outlast and came all the way here and stuck through the whole, like after being voted out, stayed the whole time and helped and watched. And he's wonderful. And I get to see him next week when I go to Australia. So excited.
Hey.
So that's fun. All right, Sandra, another Gone Too Soon goddess from season 1. Who's your Gone Too Soon pick for season 2?
My pick is Jacob. I loved Jacob. He just seemed like such a genuine, nice human being. And I was a little teary-eyed when everybody was voting him off, and Matthew was crying, and Hannah was crying, and I think he could have done really well had he, if he was able to, stick around for a little while, because he's definitely a likable person, and I think a lot of people would have wanted to work with him.
Yeah, I think that's another tough one. He drove all the way from Indiana, so it was like 14 hours or something to play, and yeah, it was tough. I think we talked about it in the roundtable where it was hard for him, mostly because he felt like he didn't have his fate in his own hands, right? I think not being able to compete in that challenge, and it's a hard part. It's a hard part of the game to kind of wrestle with, and I think he fought a little bit, but I think he could have fought more. Like I said before, like is there some there were cracks there? Like could he try to break that group up more? But it's hard. Again, it was his first game, and kind of knowing what to do in those scenarios that feel
definitely learn a lot from your first game.
I'll tell you, absolutely. You play your second game very differently than your first. For sure. Good pick, Sandra. All right, Jermin.
My Gone Too Soon goddess is Kiara. That's how you say it, right?
Kira, technically.
Kira. I love her. I saw so much potential for her in this game. Like Lizzy said, the control that she had on that tribe. She got swap fucked, and I just think that if she had got to the merge, she would have done damage. I saw the focus that she had, the drive that she had. I just see so much potential for her, and she definitely deserves. Hopefully, she plays again. And in her second chance, she fights harder because she has that push to do it. And yeah, I really admired her. And she was like my winner's pick, like episode 1. Yeah, but unfortunately, gone too soon.
Yeah. I mean, I only say so much as the host, but she was definitely a standout for me on that tribe. And she's just such a big player and big person in such a small package. It kind of it's so interesting to see that dynamic. I loved once I started editing the footage, right? Like seeing her navigate, sorry, Val, love you, Val, but navigating that Val vote and kind of taking control of this is what we're going to do. And even though I have this alliance, I'm going to make a change. And she did those things, right? And she wasn't afraid to kind of make the move she needed to make. But yeah, it's interesting, thinking about, do you pitch against the one other person in the game that's there to save yourself or not, right? That's a hard line to find. But yeah, it was wonderful having her and Jacob and Matt all in the game, and all of our pre-mergers. I think there's a lot. This cast was amazing, much like our season 1 cast was amazing. And if and when we ever do any sort of all-stars or second chances or anything, there's so many people we could pick.
Second chances first.
Yes, please.
It's just such a great group. It's such a great family. All right, and last but not least, let's talk about our winner picks. I feel like we already done it, but let's just recap in case. Who wants to go first?
Jermin, you go first.
I go first. I had Chelsea number 1 on my list, but after all that we've talked about today and really diving deep, I'm gonna have to say my girl Rachel is my winner's pick. I'm gonna go with So I think the idol,
Plot twist.
her stance in the game, her strengths, her social ability, her calmness. You know, I just see her as the winner, and I'm rooting for her. I'm rooting for Chelsea and Hannah also, but yeah, I see her win.
Okay. All right. How about you, Sandra?
Spoiler. Rachel for sure. She's definitely my winner pick. And if we're gonna do a 1-2, I'd say Hannah. It would be between Rachel and Hannah, but I think Rachel's gonna take the win.
All right. Lizzy?
Chelsea! It's gonna be Chelsea! I love Chelsea, and I think I just really admire how she's playing, and I think it could catch up to Rachel. I think it's less likely to catch up to Chelsea. But Rachel's my number 2. And number 3 is Stephanie.
But I love that it's all women. Like we all have women,
Oh,
right?
Episode 1, I was like,
it's gonna be a winner.
It will be
Absolutely.
Yes, it's time.
Yeah. It's been too long.
It's been 2 seasons. It's time.
Well, thank you all so much again for being a part of this and for sharing your thoughts on the game. You know, I think all of you since last time have had some new experiences and bring more expertise and experience to this panel, and your perspectives are lovely. And thank you all. You were also all very respectful of everybody in the game, even the criticism or the feedback you were giving. I think you were all very respectful and loving. And you know, that's what I will say, right? The episodes only show so much, and you know, the people that are in the game are not necessarily the people in their worlds and in their lives, and we love them and respect them all very much. And the game, you know, the game is the game, and those things are very separate. So
it's harder than people think. Like when you're in there, even a 3 or 4 day game, it's harder than you think.
Absolutely. It is much harder than you think. So make sure you apply and come find out.
Come find out.
Get those applications in.
Yeah. No, but we're really excited about season 3. We've got a great applicant pool and a great potential cast lined up. We're starting to make some of those decisions now. Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting ride for the rest of this season 2. So keep watching Sundays at 8 Eastern on our YouTube channel. But thank you all very much, panel. We appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Thank
Justin.
you. I'm so excited.